Good evening. It's 6:30 p.m. on Monday, May 22nd, 2023. I'd like to call the Winton Woods City School Board of Education to order. Please silence your cell phones, and then we'll rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Seymour, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Birdie, Ms. Bryant, Dr. Johnson,
Present.
Mr. Smith, Mrs. Kuhn.
Present, thank you. And we'll move on to Agenda 2.01. And this is one of the measures that we uphold our school district by proving that we engage and actively challenge our learners to reach their maximum potential. So our first item on the agenda is district honors, recognitions, gifts, and introductions. And Superintendent Smith?
Do you want Mr. Smith to do it?
Would you want to present?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
He was already
Oh, Superintendent Smith, you have the floor.
Our first recognition is for incredible artwork. And the art teacher is Ms. Sharon Smith. Is Ms. Smith here? Okay, so you are her backup? All right. So the first recipient is a superintendent selection. And is Malia Self here tonight? So Malia drew a picture of me. I'm excited. She drew a picture of a beautiful bear. This absolutely looks lovely. All right? So who is the great artist in the family that teaches you how to draw this way? Who's the great artist that teaches you? Mom, Dad, which one? Mom. All right. Okay, moms get all the love in these meetings, so I'm just telling you now. So she is a superintendent's winner, and this picture is going to actually hang in my office. It's going to be framed, and it will stay here until she graduates from Winton Woods. All right, very good. So let's get some pictures. Family, come on up. Hold the picture up. Ms. Stewart, is there a certificate?
It's a metal.
Metal.
It's a frame.
There it is, Doc. You put it around her neck? No.
Oh, a metal, okay.
That looks amazing.
Here we go.
All right, family, come up for a picture, please.
Just put the yes right
See, one day, folks, that art piece is going to be worth about $1.5 million, and I'm going to have it. All right, thank you. The next recipient is the principal's winner, Alina Rivera Ramos.
I don't think she was sick today, so.
Okay, we're going to save it for next week. Now, this one scared me a little bit, but I have to show you. I was a little frightened when I saw this one, but that kind of got me a little bit. All right. The next one, Dara Simon Chales. Okay. Just makes you, I looked at this one, I'm thinking, I kind of got hungry because I'm thinking, is this a Skittles or something? Is Brody here? Brody, come on up. Come on up, please, Brody. If this next drawing, if the world were more composed like this, man, we would just have a great life. So when you see this, you have to smile.
Oh.
Yeah, there you go. So, Brody, who did you bring tonight?
Aunt Lizzie.
Okay.
What am I? I'm mommy.
And Libby, come on up. Come on. I will not ask you who inspires you, Brody. I already figured it out, sir. Hold that picture up. Just get everybody in there.
Over there.
Aunt Libby, you in there? Okay. Fantastic. All right, very good. She's like, I want my heart. Okay, the next recipient is the Kiwanis Characters Key Award, and we do not have a Kiwanis representative tonight, so I'm going to ask my good friend, who is a Kiwanis member like I am, Mr. Denny, come on up, please. Where is Skylar Bradshaw? I knew that was you. I knew that was you. Come on. You're going to stand right here, look beautiful, and listen to this story. Where's Miss Ranford? Miss Ranford, come on up. She wrote a story about you, Skylar. And you have to tell me if it's true. The nomination for the Character Award for Perseverance is Skylar Bradshaw. In today's world, many people pride themselves on not looking like what they have survived. The staff and students of Winton Woods Elementary School are no exception. The 2022-23 school year has been an especially difficult one, but together we have survived what was the first uninterrupted school year for half of our students. Skylar Bradshaw is not only a survivor, but a thriver as well, and she does it with style and grace on a daily basis. Simply put, Skylar, the scholar, says no to trouble and yes to academics. Oh, I'm going to put that on my car. Yeah. She says no to rudeness, and she says yes to kindness. I'm going to put that on Mr. Denny's car. She comforts others who are sad and can gently check out her peers when they need it while remaining diplomatic. She can receive feedback without becoming defensive, thus contributing to her overall growth. Yet she still possesses the refreshing innocence of a fourth grader. Wow. On top of all this, she exudes trust, respect, and responsibility. If she had a limit, it would surpass the sky. Oh, that's amazing. Wow. Now, I know Ms. Ranford wrote these great things about Skylar, but I like the last part. If she had a limit, it would surpass the sky. So just for the general purposes, I'm going to say I wrote that part. All right? For these reasons and more, we nominate Skylar Bradshaw to receive the Character Award for Perseverance. Perseverance means pursuing the right answer until you know without a doubt that you have done the right thing and completed the task to the best of your ability. The Kiwanis Characters Key Citizenship Award is sponsored by the Green Hills Forest Park Kiwanis Club, a partner of Winton Woods City Schools. Students who are honored receive a La Rosa's gift card right on the back. So there are some people in the audience that look just like you. So I know you brought these people. So come on up. Come on up for a photo.
You stay here.
Come, you stay here.
With your family, yes, the big family picture. The school family. Yes.
Skylar, one other question. Perseverance, that determination to keep going. Which one of your family members just says, Skylar, you just got to keep going. It's going to be all right? Dad got some love, finally. Sir, we've done 1,000 of these meetings, and you're the first dad that's ever been given love. All right, fantastic. Did you see Mom saying, Skylar, wait till we get you home?
I usually just say, Skylar, stop talking so much.
All right. Wonderful. Thank you, Skylar. Our next Kiwanis Student of the Month, Jaden Beeman. Jaden here tonight? Jaden. Now, there's a very important part of this story about Jaden. Jaden Beeman is my choice for Student of the Month. Jaden is one of the most hard-working, positive people I know, including adults. That's what it says. Jaden always comes to school with a smile on his face. He is so polite and kind to everyone he comes across, whether he knows them or not. You can always count on Jayden to give a warm good morning and a pleasant conversation. I'm so impressed with Jayden's determination to succeed in school. He works hard in every class and is not afraid to ask for help. When he has questions about his future, he comes to make an appointment with me. Jayden is a very goal-oriented young man. He takes steps to make sure he meets his goals. To know Jayden is to love him. Can we give Jayden a love sign? He's doing some good stuff now. All right. Dad, work with me. We give him the love sign. What are you doing? Work with me. All right, okay. To know Jayden is to love him. He has a kind heart and a good soul. Jayden makes Winton Woods High School a better place just by being himself every day. And this is from Mr. Tash, counselor grades 9 to 10, alphabet A to K. The Kiwanis Student of the Month is sponsored by the Green Hills Forest Park Kiwanis Club, a partner of Winton Woods City Schools. Students who are honored receive a La Rosa's gift card. Who did you bring with you tonight, sir?
My mom.
Mom, come on up for a photo.
Take a step up, and Mr. Jenny's gonna be on one side, you two be in the middle.
Okay.
Yes, yes, and I'll be on this other side. Yes.
There you go. Down a little bit. There you go.
Good, congratulations. Thank you.
Our next recipient is Student Athlete of the Month. Okay. Let's step back for a minute. Daira, come on up. Oh, we couldn't miss this. Oh, my goodness. Beautiful. Hold that, turn it around.
And look at,
Don't forget her medallion. Wow, that looks amazing.
and we're gonna have her around your neck. Congratulations.
This is the Honorable Mention Award. Yes. There are more family members? Come on.
Oh, no, just, yeah, just.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, there we go. There we go.
Hey, no, get that kitty in there. Get that in there. Yeah. Okay. We've got more coming. Hold on, Drew. Alina? Okay.
Oh, the
Oh, yeah,
This
Alina.
is the other one, I see.
Are they related? Okay, good enough. We put them in the same group.
Put them in the same picture together.
Let's get two. Let's get
We'll
one,
get two pictures.
one
Get two
each and then one
Yeah,
together.
get two
One,
pictures.
and then we'll do one with her and then all together.
Okay.
Okay, yes, yes.
All right, hold your picture up.
Hold your picture, yes. No, no, she didn't.
Told you the kitty was gonna get in there.
Look over here.
Fantastic.
Wait, don't go too far. All right.
Let's get this other
All
group.
right, let's get the other group.
Come on. Right here with the love monster right here.
All right, turn around and look at Miss Drew.
There's her
Her
picture.
picture, her picture.
Oh, where's her picture? Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Hold your picture up.
Fantastic picture.
All right, and let's take one all with all of them together. Miss Drew.
Hold the picture back up.
Oh, let's hold, you can keep your picture to take one more. Hold the picture. Just the way it does. Come on.
There you go. That'd be cute.
All right.
I think she wants her.
Fantastic.
We'll keep these pictures and when you graduate, give them back.
Doc remembers that part. All right, you can take your, we'll get you to do another one. All right, you're all right?
Smile.
Okay.
Okay.
You know, we had the senior prom at TQL a couple of weeks ago, and I'm serious, I saw this person there. All right, so now it's on to the athletic situation, opportunity. Alyssa Brown. Well, I'll read about Alyssa anyway. Her coach for both softball and volleyball is Coach Sheena Gray. She's been part of the softball program for 4 years. She had really good hands and dominated at first base. Her senior year, she stepped up in a major way as she transitioned to a pitcher in the beginning of the season due to an injury of our starting pitcher. She was a strong leader and team's captain. While in the program, she received the Warrior Award, Silver Slugger, Gold Glove, and Most Valuable Player. Volleyball, Alyssa has been a part of the volleyball program for 4 years. She was a reliable, consistent, and a great team player. And how many of you know that you can actually go to college and receive a full scholarship for softball and for volleyball? So she's talented in both, and she has an incredible GPA of 3.4, so she's really on her way. We'll give her the award next month, all right? So we're moving on to Miss Nicole Beeler. Not here? So whenever we have great kids, and we know there's great teachers behind them, so we'll save this for Ms. Beeler for next month. All right, moving on. The Community Spirit Award. So all of our graphics and colors and brochures and everything like that, we don't actually do those in-house. We design them in-house, but then we take them to an expert that really livens them up for our beautiful blue and green colors that we use, you know, so vividly every day. So we actually have a Community Spirit Award to Express Graphics. Come on up, sir. Ms. Jordan, can you do me a favor, because Ms. Jackson really is an instrumental part with Express. Can we get her in the picture and then you use the camera? So we're versatile, we do it all. Thank you.
Count of three, 1, 2, 3. You did it again. One more, just to make sure.
You want to say a few words, sir?
I just love this school district. It's our pleasure to be a vendor to you guys. You ask, we do, and we appreciate everything you guys do for us, and it's our pleasure to do it for you.
Pleasure, sir. Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much.
You know, when we were talking about the Community Spirit Award winner, Ms. Jackson mentioned superintendent. If we look at the selection of groups that we have to pick from, and we choose our Express Graphics people, they'll be guaranteed to get our stuff quicker and cheaper. So, yeah. So, hey, cheaper. He never said cheaper. Thank you, sir. All right, got it. All right. Special recognition. Unfortunately, we have to have people who retire. We love all of our staff and we want them to stay forever, but they have other lives that they have to take care of. So is Miss Cindy Bowman here tonight? Okay, what about Wayne Chin? And what about Mary Grace Taylor Spalding? So what's so unique about them is when they give the signal that they're retiring, they just start doing it like right away. So maybe that's why they're not here tonight. Okay. The board thanks them for their many years of service to support Wynwood City Schools. And let's give a round of applause for all the recipients tonight.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Superintendent, and thank you to all of our recipients. You've been terrific. You're very inspiring to the board, and thank you very much. With that, we'll take a 5-minute recess, and we'll resume our meeting in about 5 minutes. Thank you. Resume the meeting. I'm going to call the Winton City School Board back to session, and we'll move on to Agenda 4.01, which is public comments, of which we have 3. And and if I say your name wrong, just correct me and I'll correctly write it on here. The first person is it Stephanie Brown? Stephanie, if I said your last name, you can correct me. Brown, okay. Stephanie Brown, if you would like to, you'll have 3 minutes to address the board. And if you want to come up to the podium, please. Is Stephanie Brown in here? Oh, well, we'll move to, we'll go to Lillian Mullins. Lillian? You just go to the podium and you can address the board. You'll have 3 minutes. I would ask that you refrain from using any personal names of anything, but please feel free to address the board. We won't bite you. It's okay. I know it's a little nerve, but I appreciate your talking to the board. Thank you.
Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. Okay. Let me see if I get this right. I am new to the school this year, and I have I'm going to say issues, okay? My issues deals with the protocol of dropping off students and returning them to school. There are occasions where we have been told, and the rule is different every day, or the rule is different every week, or the rule is different every month. So I would just like to know, what is the protocol for dropping off students when the parents is not there, or you done went around 2 or 3 times to get the student home, and then when you do call in to ask what they want to do, and they say, well, I guess we can call the parents again. But I think if you don't waited more than 2 or 3 minutes, you've been around one time, that should be enough for the parents to be able to come and get their children, and we should be allowed to take them back to school. I think that's an issue because not only does the school have want to get home, the bus drivers do too. So it's unfair to us as bus drivers, I'm talking about me, to have to wait 4 or 5 minutes for one parent to come and get their student off. And this is the same thing for high school students. We have students that get on a bus and they don't want to tell you where to go, where they live at, they're on the wrong bus. And most of the time, the high school, the junior high school do not want these kids returned to school. For safety's sake, for my safety as well, the school should be the one that makes the decision on dropping off the kids. I don't think and I don't feel that it's safe for me to make that decision, because if something happens to that student, it's going to fall back on me. And that's not right. It should not have to fall back on me. It should have to fall back on whoever is at the school or whoever is in charge. It doesn't matter who it is. I really don't care. All I want to know is one day it's this way, the next day it's that way, the next day you went over the head, and somebody needs to tell me what's the right procedure, because I don't know. Did I go on my 3 minutes?
I think we still have time, but
There you go.
All right.
Well, anyway, thank you very much for listening.
You did good. You got it all in your 3 minutes.
I'd like to clarify, because I want to make sure we understand what's going
The
on.
questions.
You're saying that you pick the kid up from school,
Yes,
and you don't see a parent there to wait for the kid?
Yes.
And so now you have to go around the block several times to see if we can get an adult?
yes.
Okay.
And then you're talking about students that get on the bus incorrectly, high school level, that don't get off at a certain place? or-
Yes, we've had, I have had, and I'm speaking only for me, I have had students that are supposed to be on the bus that invites their friends to ride the bus, and then when we get to the stop, they're saying, well, you need to take us over here, you need to take, no.
Right.
This is the
So I want to know if I take them back to the school, be it high school, elementary school, whatever, then I was told that I could do that one week, and then the next week, I couldn't do
Okay.
that. So there's no direct or no written rules.
Okay.
Thank you. No, that's good to know. Thank you very much. Judah.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll go to Sonia George. Also a transportation question or topic.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, my concern, following the contract, it's just like, seniority wise and job postings and everything, it's just like favoritism. You can't hold a job for somebody anticipating that they're gonna get their license, their CDLs or whatnot, when, you know, you got people that's seniority, the job should have been posted, should have been posted for, instead of waiting around, and then, we shouldn't have to bring it to the person's attention. It shouldn't have, it should be. And then as far as, different job postings other than driving buses, just the way that's done, it's just, I don't know. If there's somebody bidding on a garage job, then when something else come up, that person shouldn't get to bid on another job, and it's always that person because he got the seniority, or he or she got the seniority, or whatever, should move on down the list. It's not fair. That person is eating more than the rest of us. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So that's my concern.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll go to Stephanie Brown. Oh, okay. And then Tanya, and is it Bradbury? Bradbury, okay,
Ms. Coon,
uh-huh,
can I clarify something?
certainly.
Back to your piece, are you saying people have multiple jobs, or people get one job and then they can transfer to another job? They have multiple jobs. Okay.
Thank
Hi.
you. Hi.
My concern is monthly meetings, having meetings to find out what's going on with the employees. That way it will prevent and alleviate any other tension. Everybody is on the same page. The drivers talks amongst each other, but only time that we're talked to is if they're, mad about something or saying we're not doing something right, instead of doing something before it gets to that point, or the drivers may have to go overhead to, because of the concerns that they have, and when things could have been alleviated a long time ago. And then also, the concern is down there at the lot, having the supervisor there until all the buses are in, because there's accidents that happen and everything else, and then we don't have a supervisor there to, to contact, and then there's nobody there to drive the buses that has, the proper certification, because people were in the office. And then also the women that's coming back at night on trips, it's very dark. I think, I've had my CDL since '93, and the previous places they've had, when people were out on charters, they had someone there for the night charters, somebody there stationed there to, because it's a lot going on, and we having that gate open, it's very dark down there. They need somebody, or if they can just get the police to patrol, or whatever, you know, something, but somebody need to be down there, because it's an accident waiting to happen, you know, for, you know, so, but I, you know, that was some of my concern, and then being able to talk, if you see something that's wrong, instead of holding it over somebody's head because that they spoke up and targeted, you know, that's what's going on too, you know, because you speak up about something, and I'm the type of person, if I see something, I'm gonna question and ask a question. So if I can't talk to you, who am I supposed to talk to? That's my point. That's it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Did you want to address anything else, or?
I do have one other question. So and I know that a lot of our drivers are women. And when they're coming back from the night trip, has it ever been a time where someone has been there? Or it's always no one's there when you guys pull the buses in?
There's no one there because a lot of the trips, unless you're like a football or a group trip,
Yes, ma'am.
there's more people, but a lot of the trips is just, you know, one person, especially in the wintertime, it gets dark quickly, so, you know, it's been plenty of times, I had to call my husband
Okay.
up there and meet me, or my kids or somebody.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
That's good to know. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Those are really important conversations, so thank you very much for all the folks that came forward. Thank you very much. We'll move on to comments. Oh, sure, certainly.
One other thing. So we have two other bargaining groups. We have OPSI and we have the Teachers Association. And we actually do run monthly meetings with those organizations. So the piece where you mentioned about having a monthly meeting to prevent other things from coming, that's a great idea. And we should probably work to get that done. But one of the things I will add, if we're gonna take time for the monthly meetings, please make sure, I know you can't control other people, but make sure they show up.
Right.
So they can really voice their opinions, and we don't have to have it all circulating all over the place. It's right there direct, so we can address it with fidelity. Okay? Thank you. All right, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move on to the Winton Woods Teachers Association, if we have a representative. See no one yet here. We'll move on to OPSI, the Ohio Association for School Employees.
Name is Robert Hodge,
Good evening.
and I am the secretary for OPSI. And there's no new business at this time.
All right.
Thank
Thank you.
y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. With that, we'll move on to agenda 6.01. It's the approval of minutes. And if our teams had a chance to look at the minutes, if you want to make a motion, would be in order.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second it.
It's been motioned and seconded. Any conversation, discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Seymour, would you call the roll or the vote?
Dr. Johnson,
Aye.
Mr. Smith,
Aye.
Mrs. King.
Aye, motion passes unanimously. Moving on to treasurer's report, the financial statement, 7.01. Mr. Seymour?
Yes, you have the financial statements before you. A brief summary is the year-to-date revenues in the general fund are $46.9 million, with month-to-date revenues for the month of April was mostly a $1.9 million, and that was from our state foundation support. Our general fund expenditures are at $43.6 million year-to-date through April, and we're running approximately 5.8% under budget, or approximately $3.3 million. The last page is the unencumbered balance for all the funds, and the total of all your funds currently is at $25 million, and a list of each fund and their balance is provided for you as of the end of April.
Thank you, Mr. Seymour. Any questions for Mr. Seymour? Well, without any objections being heard, let the financial statement for the month of April 2023 be submitted for audit. And we'll continue on with Mr. Seymour with your recommendations.
Yes, for investments, for the month of April, we earned $105,700. General fund was $85,263, and our building funds continue to earn $20,430. And of course, our Star Ohio rate is up to 5.19% as of the end of April.
Very good. Board, if you would like to make a motion, we can discuss.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the investments as presented.
I'll second.
Motioned and seconded. Any questions for Mr. Seymour? Seeing none, Mr. Seymour, would you call the vote?
Dr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mrs. Kuhn?
Aye. Moving to, so the motion passed unanimously. Moving on to 8.02, resolution accepting the amounts and rates.
Yes, before you have the resolution to accept the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission or the Hamilton County Auditor's Office. As you know, back in January, we approved the tax budget for the Hamilton County Auditor, and from the tax budget, they take and set the rates to be collected for the current fiscal year. And that's what you have before you. The only two things of significance I'd like to point out is that certain levies are for fixed dollar amounts, and one of those is your 10-year emergency levy that was in 2019 was converted to a replacement levy. That levy was at 9.95 when originally passed, and it's currently at 7.86. Also, the bond, when we first passed it, was at 6.95, and it's down to 5.85. Because the bond, the Hamilton County Auditor will only levy significant taxes to cover the principal and interest for the year. We have to provide them a debt schedule.
Okay,
I just thought I would share that.
that's good. Board?
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor as presented.
I'll second.
It's been motioned and seconded. Mr. Seymour, I'm glad you brought that up. So when that goes down, that the taxes go down with that percent, or how does that, when when you were bringing up the millage or the change of the, I wanted to understand that a little bit better. I wasn't
The
sure.
actual effective rate has reduced because of increased property values, because you can only collect a certain dollar amount. For those certain levies, every time there's an increase in valuation, we're not allowed to collect that additional amount.
Okay.
Those two levies are held constant for
Okay.
fixed dollar amounts.
So they're fixed, so they don't go up or down, they just
Right.
stay fixed. Okay. I just wanted
The
to clarify.
reverse would be the same if the property valuations went clear down, as they did back in, as you recall, back in the, back about 8 years ago, the property values went down.
Now they're on the way up a little bit, I guess. Okay, very good. Any other questions? Seeing none, Mr. Seymour, would you call the vote?
Dr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mrs. Kuhn?
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Still under the treasurer's five-year forecast, 8.03.
Yes, before you have the updated five-year forecast for the month of May. And we have to report this to the Ohio Department of Education. This does not go to the county auditor. The major changes in the update for May from the one that you passed in November, it's been updated for our real estate tax collections because we've gotten both settlements. Also, as you're aware, we've earned extra interest earnings for the year, and I've updated it for that. Also, I tried to update it for any compensation adjustments that might be coming forth for next year. And we also adjusted it to buy Chromebooks for this year and get our Chromebooks back into the general fund on a 3-year cycle. And that was approximately $300,000 for that. But with the increased revenues and the anticipated expenditures, we have improved our overall cash balance by approximately $1.2 million on this forecast compared to November's.
Okay.
And also, I do not have in there any change in state funding from what we had before. It's still in there at the conservative estimate of $800,000, just as we got this year. because, as you know, that's all pending before the state agencies, the legislative departments. So that could change in the fall.
Okay. Board, if we want to have a motion, and we'll discuss.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the 5-year forecast for fiscal years 2023 through 2027 as presented.
I'll second.
It's been motioned and seconded. Any further questions for Mr. Seymour?
Oh, got it.
No. Seeing none, Mr. Seymour, would you call the vote?
Dr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mrs. Kuhn?
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. We're moving to Agenda 8.4, but I'm going to ask that I remove that piece from the meeting tonight, and we'll delete it, and we'll have a consideration for a later date, so. And from there, we'll move on to the reports from the superintendent, 9.01, school reports.
School reports. Of course, you know this is the last week of school, and we're excited that we had so many graduates, so many honors kids, and I'd like for people to kind of keep a good eye out for the ribbons that we have out, symbolizing every graduate that came through. The ribbons will only be up for a short amount of time, so make sure you get great pictures and look at the ribbons, and if your child's name is there, select your ribbon and keep it for many, many years to come. So the school reports. But I would like to also say, because we have special field trips and things like that going on, drivers, thank you for getting our kids to the field trips and back safe and sound. We totally appreciate that. All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you. We'll move on to first reads, the revised policies.
These are first reads, and the board will be voting on these next month. Policy 2271, College Credit Plus Program. Policy 8120, Volunteers for Operations. 3120.09, Professional Staff. 4129.09, Classified Staff. 5461.01, Students with Physical Education Waiver. 5512, Students Tobacco Use Prevention. 7434, Property Tobacco Use Prevention. And finally, 9160, Relations, Public Attendance at School Events.
Thank you, Superintendent. Moving on to 9.03, facilities updates.
Mr. Denny?
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Good evening, Board.
Good evening.
Just a quick update on the facilities. Things continue to move along nicely at the renovation project where we have quite a few trades on site. Electrical, plumbing. Bridge Street Glass is the glazing company, so they're handling all of the installation of the storefront systems, the windows, the window frames, the doors, door frames. They're really doing a nice job. So I believe right now we're approximately 70% complete at that site. Hydronic piping is largely installed. Overhead HVAC ducted work is largely completed. We still have to hook up with boilers and a few pumps and things of that nature. And then, of course, the switchgear, which we talk about just about every month. Still waiting on that, and then we'll be able to work with Duke to increase the service for that building with all the added equipment. But it's really coming along. You can see a noticeable difference. And we're pleased with the progress. We did, you may have seen, go out for bid for Phase 2 of the renovation project. So Phase 1 is entirely funded through federal dollars, just for for everyone's awareness. ESSER and ARA funded that. And then Phase 2 is a permanent improvement funded initiative by the district. So no operational dollars are used. We're not permitted to do so. So that is currently the status of that. So we're looking forward to seeing bids return, and then we'll be coming back in July to ask the board to consider those bids, potentially accept one of them.
Okay.
That concludes the report.
So the renovation was basically with ESSER and ARA?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Phase 1, yes, sir.
All right, very good.
Thank you. Any questions, Board? No. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Denny. All right, we'll move on to Superintendent's recommendations, 10.01. which was updated job description, buildings and grounds supervisor.
Mr. Denny, come back up because I'd like for you to give the board an overview of how we combine services in order to be very cost efficient.
Sure. Yeah, thanks again, Mr. Smith, and good evening again, Board. So what you should have before you is a revised job description, and that job description consists of 2 former supervisory positions that are actually being merged. That merger will save the district, even after the hiring of an additional maintenance worker, about $40,000. And it's just the right thing to do, to be honest. Just a quick history lesson, the district did outsource custodial services back in 2011. And the commitment at that time and the agreement with OPSI, the association, was to reduce as we went along. And so that included head custodians and other custodial employees. As we progressed, we would basically outsource those as folks retired, resigned, transferred, et cetera. That actually applies to our supervisory structure as well. There was a time when the district had 33 employed custodians, and now that's all an outsourced operation. It makes good financial sense and operational sense to combine those 2 roles when you have only 3 custodial employees. And then we still need a set of hands. I mean, there's a lot of work. And the person that's retiring has been with the district for 40 years, does things before you know they need to be done. So that's all a learning curve we're going to have to go through. But what you have before you is a consolidated job description for those 2 supervisory positions to be merged. And then that would be basically in charge of the custodial functions of the district as well as the maintenance functions of the district.
Yeah, I wanted the board to see that it was a combined effort because when you look at all the essential duties and responsibilities, it doesn't seem like this person would ever go home. But this is a combined effort, so it actually is a combined job between 2.
Okay. Board, if you'd like to make a motion, we can discuss.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the updated job description for the Buildings and Ground Supervisor as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been motioned and seconded. Just so I clarify, so it took 2 jobs and it makes it 1 person that's hired, even if we're hiring some other supplemental work? I just wanted to clarify that, make sure I understood that right.
So it's 1 single supervisor position.
Okay.
And then we're adding 1 maintenance, essentially entry-level position.
Okay, but previously there were 2
There were
supervisors.
2 supervisors,
Okay,
right? So it's essentially trading a supervisor for an entry-level person. That's what creates the savings.
okay,
And then the duties still have to take place, so they're consolidated under 1
okay.
supervisory role.
So you're asking the right question. The work doesn't stop. It's just been consolidated, and then there's an entry person who takes care of it. And we still have our 2 major plant operators that keep the buildings up and operational.
That was going to
Yeah,
be my
that's what-
question.
yeah,
Do we
yeah.
still have the 2 plant
Oh,
operators?
absolutely.
Or will this person have an assistant? That was my
No.
question. So the
That-
plant
that-
operators.
Those are 2 big
Okay.
giant computers that we're in,
Because I
and we
thought I
have to have
seen
people
the
around the
plant
clock.
operators
Yes,
on
ma'am.
here,
Right.
so.
Good question.
Yeah.
Sure, so the person retired that had one of these positions, is that what you said?
Both have retired.
Both have retired.
One
Okay.
is currently fulfilling both right now, and we did that since January as a test run to see,
Okay.
okay, what's this going to be like?
Okay.
Is this really feasible?
Sure,
And so we piloted it for a little bit. It is feasible.
And we know it can be done.
Can be done.
but we have to hire somebody now to do this?
We have to hire someone. When the person currently filling that role retires, we will have to hire that position.
Okay,
There are still 2 plant operators. The plant operators don't actually report to this person. That's a lateral relationship. But they have to work together fairly closely. About 80% of our district is in those 2 buildings.
okay,
So if you're in charge of buildings and grounds for the district, you have to have a pretty substantial investment in time.
okay,
Until we open that
to be
3rd
there.
building, then
Until
that's
we
when it
open-
becomes interesting.
Yeah.
cool, very good. Any other questions?
No, that was
Okay,
mine.
seeing none, Mr. Seymour, would you call the vote?
Dr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mrs. Kinnon?
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Moving to personnel schedules, 10.02. Superintendent Smith?
Okay, good evening. Before you, you have Schedules A, which is our resignation, Schedule B, hiring of certificated staff, Schedule C, support staff, Schedule D, supplementals, and Schedule E, leaves. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Before we do that, let's go ahead and have a motion on the floor. I only have two people. that
Okay,
can help
Madam
me.
President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the personnel schedules as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been motioned and seconded. I did have one question I just wanted to bring up. It was on the Schedule C, and it was talking about rate, under the step rate for food service and for bus drivers. And it just says the term rate, and normally there might be a dollar figure in there. Can you help explain that?
That's just their hourly rate of pay, and rather than, and they all vary. So what they would get for summer work is their hourly rate.
Based on whatever number of hours, not necessarily full-time hours, or just number of hours worked, or how would that?
So they'll be timesheeted at their current hourly rate for the
Okay.
summer.
Okay,
And in the past, we had a different rate because we had some federal grant money that we were, paying a certain amount. This summer, it's just their hourly rate for their summer work.
okay, yeah, it was just confusing, because some had a rate and some didn't, so I wasn't sure what that meant.
And for food service in particular, it's because they're still doing their same job. It's not, some people are doing summer jobs that aren't their school year jobs, and their rate might change. So for example, we have someone working in the enrollment center who's working at a different rate than they are working during the school year, because it's a completely different job. But the food service workers are still performing the same jobs that they were performing during the school year, but it's just in the summer. And so they'll keep their hourly rate.
And then the bus drivers too, that same thing there, it says bus driver rate?
When they're driving, they're performing the same job, and so, but if they're doing like detailing or something a little bit different, the rate changes. And that's why you'll see the,
It was
detail,
just-
like the detailer rate is $175 per bus. It's a different job altogether. But if they're driving, they'll keep their hourly rate.
Okay. All right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I just wondered, I just hadn't seen rate before, I just would always see a dollar figure in there,
Yeah.
so. Did anybody have any questions, anything else? Nope. Seeing none, Mr. Seymour, would you call the vote?
Dr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mrs. Kuhn?
Aye. Motion passes unanimously, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we'll move on to Agenda 10.03, Superintendent Smith, school calendar for 24-25 school year.
Yes, Madam President and Board, the calendar committee voted unanimously to make sure there was a fall break. The fall break worked extremely well for all employees, and so that's actually for the 24-25. Keep in mind, the 23-24 you've already approved, so we always make sure we're 2 years ahead so that you can see how clear the process is. So the recommendation is to approve the 24-25 school calendar.
Okay. Board, there'd be a motion.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the 2024-2025 school calendar as presented.
I'll second.
It's been motioned and seconded. So the main change on here was the fact you put the fall break in that
Yes, ma'am.
followed suit? Okay. Any other questions from my board members?
Is that what I'm looking at in October?
Yes, that is it.
Okay.
That's like a long stretch, Doc.
Yeah. That ends a quarter too, right? Okay, makes sense.
Okay. And then on January, is that January 6th, is that a work day or is that a, it's a Monday right after the
Records
the
Day.
winter break?
That's RD, so Records Day.
Is that what that
It's a
means,
Records
Records
Day.
Day? Okay. All right. I just wanted to verify that. Okay, thank you. It's been motioned and seconded. Mr. Seymour, if there's no more questions, would you call the vote?
Dr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mrs. Kuhn?
Aye. Motion passes unanimously.
Mrs.
Thank-
Coon, before we
Sure.
move on, the board may hear conversations about hours, because now we're connected to hours as opposed to days. And you may hear conversations from other board members and superintendents about their district is trying to transition into hours and trying to take off days. Because you already have the hours, that would be a disaster. And I hope the board never considers that simply because students need to be in school as much as they can possibly be in school. Going just by the hours, that calculation, I think it has some errors to it. And I don't think it gives the students a comprehensive view of what their educational calendar should really look like.
And those hours aren't necessarily Winton Woods, they're set by the state. That's
Absolutely.
their- Just so that everybody knows.
So what happens now, unions are saying, oh, we have all the hours we need. Well, kids don't have all the education they need. So I think that would just be not a good transition for us.
Okay, thank you, that's good to know, thank you.
Okay.
Moving on to 10.04, which is second read of revised board policies.
Second reads, these are the ones that you will be voting on tonight. And they are the bylaws, the technical corrections, which is 0131.1, 1615 administration tobacco use prevention, 2114 meeting state performance indicators, 2412 homebound instruction programs, 3215 staff professional tobacco use prevention, 4215 classified staff tobacco use prevention, and finally 5460 students graduation requirements.
Okay. Before we want to have a conversation about anything, like to have a motion on the floor?
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the second reads of the revised board policies as presented.
Second.
Motioned and seconded. Do you have any questions from our members? No. I wanted to say I appreciated the meeting state performance indicators and going with the stars because of the changes, the way the state of Ohio does measurement on our report cards. I thought that was a really important piece to have in there. And then also the graduation requirements, because there's some changes, I think the state continues to refine or revise or change those. I appreciate the district being being on task and making sure that we outline what our students need to do to graduate based on or state standards.
Yeah, but this is sort of like one of those unfunded mandates.
Yeah.
And so I'll read this paragraph. The superintendent shall also estimate the additional resources that will or may be necessary to be able to implement the annual plan and the annual cost to the district. It didn't say the annual cost to the state. That's what
Yeah.
I'm reading. I'd like for it to say that.
Yeah, I did
Because it's
notice,
saying,
yeah.
what else do you need? Just take it out of your budget.
Right. No, I did appreciate that, so, and I think that was important that we
It
looked
should
at.
also be noted that there's quite a bit of change on that for graduation requirements in the policy, so if you read it, it's quite a bit of change.
I also did like astronomy got added, though, so. I like having different courses that are in there for students. So any other questions, comments?
One other comment. I know this is Mrs. Bray who really leads this conversation. The district will provide 1 hour of instruction for each school day that the student is participating in a homebound instructional program. There are times where Mrs. Bray has figured out that 1 hour a day is not sufficient, and the superintendent can endorse more hours based on the student's academic needs. And I will have to say that she's been very diligent saying that superintendent, this 1 hour a day is not going to get him where he needs to be. He's homebound, but it won't really be sufficient. So, thank you, all right, because I think it makes a big difference. We can follow the rules, the letter of the law, but when we start talking about really accommodating kids, 1 hour a day just won't do it.
Thank you. Any other questions? Nope. Seeing none, Mr. Seymour, would you call the vote?
Dr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mrs. Kuhn?
Aye. the vote to pass our revised school board policies passes. Moving to, let's see, agenda point 10.05. Superintendent Smith, the floor is still yours regarding letter of intent to purchase.
Yeah, the letter of intent is to approve the letter of intent to purchase 1501 Kingsbury Drive and 925 Hellsworth as presented. To purchase, not, yeah. It really shouldn't say purchase. Mr. Seymour, look at that again.
I think the resolution says it's from Miranda to us.
Right,
Their
okay.
intent to purchase.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that people
We
not
can
thinking
clarify
we're
it.
purchasing two
Yes.
times. Yeah.
For Miranda Homes to
Yes.
purchase, their intent from our school district. Okay, very good. I just want to clarify that for the folks at home. And do you want to, you have a motion on the floor first, or do you want to discuss it first, or what would you like? We'll go with the motion. So,
All right, Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the letter of intent to purchase. There are two properties, one at 1501 Kingsbury Drive and one at 924 Hallsworth Drive, as presented.
I'll second.
okay, it's been motioned and seconded.
And I'll adjust it to say from Miranda Homes.
Very good.
From Miranda
Yes,
Homes,
sir.
yes,
Thank you.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So the two locations, one was the former Forest View location in the H section, Forest Park, is that right?
One is approximately close to 29 acres and the other is about 11, a little more than 11.
And that one is over the old elementary school, or
Is that Forest View?
Win-
Forest,
For-
well,
Forest
Winton
View.
Forest,
Winton
yeah, Winton Forest, the other one's Forest
Yeah.
View, okay. Very good, and Miranda Homes, they build single-family homes?
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about Miranda Homes?
Single-family, affordable homes. I mean, that's about what they do. They're not subsidized homes. And I think that's something the public should want to know.
Yeah, I did look up Miranda Homes at some of their other locations that they're building in the area, and just the style of homes that they're building, I thought would fit very well in our community.
If I could
Extremely well.
add too, they are not asking for any of the board's commitments for a TIF or to help finance the project at
Not
this
at all.
time.
Sure, and if you can explain TIF, what that would mean?
Tax incremental financing,
Okay.
sorry.
Which means we would defer taxes.
We would
for it.
defer
Okay.
taxes.
Okay,
And they could automatically do that for up to 10 years at 75% of the value, and they're not requesting that.
okay. So, just so we have some clarification on that, the board, do you have other questions?
I would just like to make a note that there is an attachment that if the community wanted to read a little bit more about the Miranda Homes purchase, that they could read about. It's kind of a three-page letter, so we don't want to read it at this meeting, but if you're interested, it's worth a read.
This will also be followed up with the board to approve a purchase agreement. This is just a letter of intent.
This is just a
Okay.
letter of intent,
Just the
yes.
preliminary, okay. Yeah, because I'd like to have the full board, so it's good to have, the full board knows about this ahead of time, but it's good to have the full board's opinion on the subject, so. Any other questions? No? Seeing none, Mr. Seymour, would you call the vote?
Dr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mrs. Kuhn?
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. We'll move on to our agenda, our Board of Education reports. Mr. Birdie is our legislative, or excuse me, we'll start with our legislative, which is Dr. Johnson.
Thank you, Madam President. The legislative report was massive this time, so I just highlighted, I've forwarded to all the board members the report, the tracking status report. There's a couple of things that I do want to highlight, which is House Bill 6 with high school athletics. That's still on the table. It was reported on to enact the Save Women's Sports Act to require schools to state institutions of higher education and private colleges to designate separate single-sex teams as sports for each sex. Also, House Bill 8, which is for school curriculum, to enact the Parents' Bill of Rights, and this bill would require public schools to adopt a policy on parental notification on student health and well-being and instructional materials with sexually explicit content. There's, I guess there's a move out there that you could teach anything, anytime, without getting the parents' permission, and that's what that bill, and it is being continued. The next one I want to highlight is the teacher licensing. I spoke about this, I think, at the last meeting, and it's still in preliminary status, and I'm not really sure why, but to establish the Grow Your Own Teacher Program. We had someone come in and present about that, to establish a loan repayment program for eligible teachers, to make changes to teacher licensing and professional development, and to make an appropriate action where a school district would need it, and upon the approval of various people. And it makes a difference because it's like the Grow Your Own program. It says, we see this person that has potential, so we're going to put them or encourage them to move into this area or this field. So it's a nice program to have. Probably, I'm not going to speculate why it's been held up, but you can always follow the money. That's usually the trail that causes the snag. But anyway, it's still in continuance. The other act, House Bill 38, and our own state rep, Miranda, is working with this one, is to allow school districts to permit students to take up to 3 mental health days away from school each year. And it's being continued, it's still being talked about, but it is on the floor, and I thought it was important to mention. I think I mentioned before about the defibrillators, House Bill 47, defibrillators being in public spaces and in public buildings, and the Ohio Department of Health is going to develop a model for emergency action and how to use. And they do talk about training. They don't talk about who pays for the training, so it's likely it might fall back on the district. I mean, they're gonna put them in there. There's no good if no one knows how to use them. So they need to, they talk about training. It's not clear who's gonna fund it, and usually that probably means the district. Just keep an eye out for that.
Doc, I'd like to step back to House Bill 38.
Oh,
for a
yes,
second.
please, go ahead, mental health days.
One of the things that educators are struggling with House Bill 38, which the students will get the 3 mental health days, but they believe that it will create more mental health when the students have to make up the work they missed. So that becomes a bigger issue. Is the mental health day going to be taken when I'm going to do a big presentation? So it has some real issues as it relates to project-based learning, because that could be very tense. It's time for me to present, and I have a mental health day.
Yeah.
Presenting is mentally challenging.
Yes.
You know, it can happen to anybody, anytime. But now you have to make up the work in order to stay the course. Did that create more stress?
Good point, thank
Yeah,
you.
happens.
Thank you. House Bill 70 is another one. We do have students who have to take over-the-counter drugs, and they're going to require school districts to adopt policies regarding the administration
Yeah, we call
of
those
these.
medications.
Yeah, medications.
Not drugs, Doc.
Yeah. It says drugs,
I
OTC
understand.
drugs.
I understand. That's what it says there.
That's what it
House
says.
Bill 70 does say that,
But it's
but we'd like
medications.
to kind of
Make it
modify
feel
ours.
a little more friendly, we'll call it medications, but it reads. The next one I thought was important to highlight is House Bill 82, which talks about school coaches. And this bill is to require athletic coaches to complete mental health training and to revise the new requirements for pupil activity program permits, just amid the version of the current code 3319.303 of the revised code that scheduled to take action or on December the 29th, 2023. And this is being continued, but it is up for consideration that they take.
Yeah, it's a
mental health.
companion code simply because what's happened, it's now a huge felony if a ref is assaulted. It used to be a misdemeanor, and now in order to keep the referees safe and all that from fans and also coaches, they've come up with the House Bill 82 that says there are some other things that you have to do, coach, in order to qualify.
Yeah. and it's necessary. You don't want the referees, because then they won't want to come and ref, it's just, it's necessary. I think I have two more. Yeah, one about social studies or the social studies curriculum. They want to include the migration experiences and contributions of a range of communities in social studies and model that curriculum, and that's coming down from the state. I always get a little icky when the state starts mandating what we teach, but anyway, I'm an educator, and that's the way I feel. I mean, it's just the way I feel, but that is a House bill that is up. The other one that is really important to us, because a lot of our third graders suffered over the last few years, is House Bill 117, the reading issue, to eliminate the retention under the third grade reading guarantee, to expand the grades for which intensive reading intervention is provided, and to expand the inclusion of phonics in learning standards. Now, this kind of is a mixed message, because we just heard a couple of months ago about this science of reading that our governor wants to implement. And I'm not saying right or wrong, we all learned to read probably the same way, but now they're saying, oh, by the way, this third grade guarantee, when we've been holding students back in the third grade, not allowing them to go partial third, fourth grade, that's potentially more than likely to go away, because once he brought that science of reading, it put that back under the microscope. So those were the things that I thought were important. There's a ton of other things that you might find interesting to read up on, and I did send this whole policy. Oh, there was one other one about school safety, and that's important. It's on this last page. To require school buildings to comply with the National Life Safety Standards, and to name this as an act in Ohio Childhood Safety Act. So I just highlighted the ones that, as an educator, would be important to me, as far as, looking at how our schools are going to thrive and to be well and healthy, and what creates the best environment for our students. So with that, that's all I have for the legislative report at this time, but this was emailed to everyone, so
Thank you, Dr. Johnson.
you're welcome.
I always appreciate the thoroughness. Very good. Mr. Birdies is at the Great Oaks graduation tonight, so he won't be here. But he did send his report to the team, so if you want to take a look through there, I won't go into detail about it right now. We'll move on to board, there's no board motions or recommendations. We'll go to comments, 13.01 on our agenda. Comments from our members, so we'll start, I'll just go to Mr. Seymour first.
No, thank you, that's fine. I don't have any comments, thank you.
Mr. Smith?
No, thank you. I don't have any comments.
You don't?
None.
No,
Okay.
I don't.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, I feel like a
Dr.
regular.
Johnson?
I feel like a regular chatty Cathy, okay? I'll keep it short. I just wanted to acknowledge the graduates, and graduation was this past Thursday, and our honors diploma students, and keeping in mind that they aren't just superintendent's top scholars, we recognize them as the superintendent's scholars, but they're honors diploma scholars, and there's a litany of criteria that they have to meet, and that means they're competitive not just with Winton Woods, but across the whole state of Ohio, and it is an honor to see those students walk across that stage. I went to two other high school graduations, and one had 16 top scholars. And I leaned over and told my husband, I said, when I got on the board, there were 16 superintendent top scholars, and I think we had, 58? This last graduation was 58 or 60, I don't want to leave anybody out. 58, and that is very much noteworthy. And that's because of the work of this board, that's because of the work of the teachers, the administrators, the staff, directors of teaching and learning. It took everybody to get to that point. And the credit checks, doing those credit checks made a world of difference. There was academic signing day, and the students all wore their jerseys or T-shirts from the school that they were going to be attending. So, it really is, we're moving in some really positive directions. College Credit Plus with the Miami University students that are participating with that. It's all good. It's all about academics. We love our athletes. But they're students first. And in the game of life, they need to be academically sound. So I just, as an academic, I always look at that. And also, thank you to the contributors of our honors and all of the people who were here tonight to be honored. It's always a pleasure to see the little people come all dressed up and ready for their picture and bring their family. So, that. And as we approach the last day of school, I'll just say, we found out we voted last meeting that we're only going to have summer school for credit recovery.
Change.
Is it changed?
Yes.
Oh, I'm gonna let Mr. Smith tell us
No,
about
I'm
the
gonna let
change.
you, I'm gonna let you go and then I'm
Well,
gonna.
I was gonna say, for those people who aren't gonna be in summer school, to be safe out there.
Yeah.
Because when you're, I don't know, this might be just a saying that a lot of people may use, an idle, mind is the devil's workshop, so you need to keep your hands busy and your mind busy so that, and if we're not gonna have them in summer school doing something proactive, then, they might find themselves out doing something not so good. So with that said, I'm going to turn it back over to Madam President. Thank you.
Thank you. Superintendent Smith?
Yes. Dr. Johnson mentioned the honors diploma students, and I'm not sure who the local school district was that had 16, but I know schools that have 1. And it's not because the kids are not bright. I don't want people to think that.
Yes, ma'am.
It's because of the course offerings. And when you don't pass a levy and you can't offer certain rigorous courses, it is going to catch up with you, because there's only so much that the regular teacher can do. So you have to have certain courses that gives you the criteria in order to meet the requirements to have an honors diploma. It has to be courses outside of the regular general ed curriculum. It has to be exceptional. So we need to think about that down the road. The other one is we are going to offer summer school opportunities for students who have had some struggles. The Teaching and Learning Department, along with Human Resources, are working on that as we speak to make sure that there's a comprehensive package where it comes from title and not necessarily from the general fund.
Great.
All right. There are some kids who had some difficulty and they need to be retooled. And we don't want to penalize them, because if we do, like if a student is struggling with Algebra 1, and that's not his forte, I don't like math. We've heard kids say that before. Well, if you fail Algebra 1, I can guarantee you before you graduate, you'll take 2 maths at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to try to prevent some of that. And not every kid needs a full comprehensive approach to the content that they struggle with. Sometimes they just need some tweaking, and we want to make sure they get that with fidelity.
Yes, great. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Thank you. Anything else?
No.
I wanted to congratulate our graduates for the 2023 school year. Thank you very much. All of our students for your hard work, dedication, our staff, everything that goes into making the school district work is very, very important, and to work as a cohesive group. I do appreciate our transportation department feeling comfortable to speak to the board. I think it's really important to hear those things. And through those conversations, there's solutions that can always be addressed and figured out. So I appreciate that very much. And again, I wish everyone a happy, safe summer. With that, we move on. There is need for executive session, team. Make a motion.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to enter into executive session to a conference with the district's attorney concerning pending or imminent court action.
I'll second.
It's been motioned and seconded. Mr. Seymour, would you call the vote?
Dr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mrs. Kuhn?
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. We will now go into closed session. But there will be no action taken following the executive session. So, the meeting, thank you, Waycross, and for our folks here, thank you very much.